Hello and welcome to episode 183 of the Brass Junkies. I'm your host, Andrew Hitz, and I am joined by my co-host, Lance LaDuke. Lance, how are you?
I'm just adequate.
You're adequate. I like it. Yeah. Speaking of high numbers, I just got to episode 250 of TEM.
Wow.
How about that?
Yeah, that's
250 episodes of The Entrepreneurial Musician. It was a really good one, too. It was Eric Branner of Fonz, who I know that you are fond of. It was a really awesome conversation.
He's a cool human. He's a really good guy.
Yeah, it's one of those dudes where he leaves you charged afterwards. So I wish I could say that we are speaking to someone like that today, but I'm just stuck speaking to you because we are doing a listener's choice. Although we've got some good questions here. Yeah, we got some good questions from a few different places. I wanted to quickly thank Parker Mouthpieces for providing the hosting for the Brass Junkies. Parker Mouthpieces offers fine customizable component mouthpieces for horn, trombone, euphonium, and tuba, including the Andrew Hitz Artist Model Tuba mouthpiece and the Lance LaDuke Model Euphonium mouthpiece. You can find out more at parkermouthpieces.com or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We just missed Valentine's Day, which is sad because, mouthpieces are a really romantic gift.
Oh, man. What's more personal? You put it on your lips and
get a
blow.
Gold-plated paperweight. Yeah, it's maybe shop for next Valentine's Day. Mm-hmm. Did you watch the Super Bowl, Lance?
I did watch the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it was a good game, but it was
a good game.
It was also a boring game.
It was yeah. First half went pretty fast. The second half was
I liked no penalties for the whole game, and then there was like 18 penalties on the final drive.
I was underwhelmed by the ads. I thought, it seems like my hopes are too high for those.
I was impressed by how clever it was, the QR code one, but
I was too.
But a QR code for something about cryptocurrency, I was like, I am not the target audience for that. Yeah, but it was cool. It was just a
there were
QR
10
code.
Different crypto it was just like, all right, so that's where we are.
It's got real strong .com 1999
it
vibes
does.
Right before the bubble, in terms of Anyway,
which is too bad because I know this isn't one of the questions, but I think NFTs do provide an interesting opportunity for musicians, or they have the potential to. So
let's get into that in the bonus episode.
Okay.
Because I agree with you. It's just a lot of the early adopters are Anyway, we'll get into it in the bonus episode.
Yeah.
So we've got 3 questions here. These are good questions. We always appreciate. You can always go to pedalnotemedia.com and then just click on contact, and Lance always answers personally within 2 or 3 minutes. He's he's just always got the email open, so you should definitely bother him.
I don't respond with an email. I just respond where I am, and it's usually within 2 or 3 minutes.
He will CC you on whatever the next email that he sends to someone is. Whether sometimes it's highly inappropriate. It's like real sensitive work stuff, and he's just like, oh no, this one's I'm sending this to Emily also. No, I don't know Emily. I'm just sending it to her. All right, Melissa in Saginaw says, what is a funny story your family tells about you that you'd like to share? Lance, you're up first.
The funniest story I've told the story on here a number of times. The funniest story that gets told about me is when I tried to outrun 2 teenage boys.
Well, you've told that one more than once. Which the second time was so a different one.
So I have to come. That's definitely
like the main one.
The main one,
right?
Let's see. I can tell you. I'm trying to think of a good answer for that. I can tell you the first laugh I remember getting, and remembering the power of that feeling. My mom. I was taking a nap. And I was probably 3 or 4, and my mom had some friends over, and I woke up from my nap and I walked out holding my socks, and I said, which foot does which sock go on? And the women thought that was the funniest thing they'd ever heard. And I just remember like pausing, and like just the power of that was really, really interesting to me. And I guess I used it to my advantage. So that is not a very good answer to your question either. Let's see.
I can tell you one while you think.
Yeah.
There was I don't think I've told this. It's funny. We've been doing this for long enough that I don't know if I told this story in like 2016. That feels like that was forever ago. There was, of course, it involves Fish. Fish has nothing to do with it. It's just the logistics of it. Fish is playing 2 shows in Eastern Mass, and my father specifically told me that I was not allowed to go take his car from the Berkshires to Eastern Mass on Friday night to see Fish, and then drive all the way to the Berkshires on Saturday to pick up Russell Beebe, my best friend, and then drive all the way back to Eastern Mass to see Fish, and then drive all the way back to Western Mass again on Sunday. And I was like, okay. And then I said, and then I called Russell and was like, okay, I got a car. and I show up at Tanglewood to which I was a year removed from. This is the summer that Samuel Palafian was the orchestra manager, because he's done everything. He was the orchestra manager for a summer at the Boston University Tanglewood Institute, which is where the Empire Brass Seminar had been, and so Russell's a year younger than me, so this is his senior year. And I go to his. He was playing Mahler 1. He was playing lead horn on Mahler 1, and I go to Tanglewood, and he is like going to run out of the concert hall as soon as he's done, so we can get in the car, and we're out like on a tight schedule. I park, and then I'm walking over towards like the backstage, and partway there I see my parents' other car, which means that my parents, who love supporting music, are at Tanglewood, and Russell has to like go grab his horn, and my dad sometimes likes to like hightail it out of Tanglewood just to beat the traffic. So I go like, oh crap. So suddenly I'm now like hiding in between cars. I totally look like I'm trying to break into cars, like at and I'm 19, and then Russell at some point comes sprinting in his tuxedo with his horn on his back, and he was like, your parents are here, as he's running. I was like, I know. And so we jump in the car, and then on the drive out to the Mass Pike, Russell says, I need to stop at the dorm. I'm like, dude, what? I'm sorry, what? This ended up being the best man in my wedding, and vice versa. And I was like, what? He's like, I need a change of clothes, and I was like ready to wring his neck. I was like, are you like? So we pull into Tanglewood, or we pull into the dorm. He goes, gets his clothes. As we're pulling out, my parents drive by right in front of us, but it's set way back, so I don't know if they've seen us or not. Long story short, my parents have driven past. Rather than going right, which is where we should have gone, I decided to go straight and kind of like cut through town for absolutely no reason. My father not only saw us, but he actually predicted that I had seen him and that I would decide to go straight for no reason instead of going right. So he gets up to the center of town, and he actually bangs a left for no reason. This is like, you cannot, these are long blocks, and there's like trees and houses in between. You cannot see this. And so I then pull up, and he is then driving directly in front of me at a stop sign, and he points at me, and he goes like, pull over. And so I got pulled over by my own father in the middle of downtown Lenox, and I got out of the car. You can't do this with a cop, but I got out of the car. I was like, I'm going to let him stay seated. And I go to my mother's side, and my mother's trying not to laugh because I just got so like owned, right? I mean, just like so owned. And he was like, he looks at me, he was like, dude. And then I said, and I was like, well, Russell like thought he had a ride, and then my dad goes like, Russell thought he had a ride, and he starts just like mocking me. And then I was just like, and then he was like, drive safely, we'll deal with this later. and then he let me go with a warning. So that's a popular story because
That's pretty good.
right? Because I got busted and then I got outsmarted and then I got busted again and I got mocked like he was just like not in the mood. But anyway, there's a good George story.
All right, I don't know who in my nobody. This is only a technicality because I don't know if anybody in my family would even remember this story. But one time when I was in it's funny. I just remembered. I told a student this the other day. I was in band one day, and the band directors, we were working on our spring concert or whatever it was, and we were doing this arrangement of Putting on the Ritz. And in the middle of the arrangement, there was like this like tickety tick snare drum part, like a little snare drum solo thing. And then it said optional section for tap dancer. And he said, "Does anybody in here know how to tap dance?" And I put my hand up.
You are such a jackass.
And I like got this kid a couple years younger than me, Jim Newman. I elbow. I'm like, "Hey, put your arm up. Put your arm up." He's like, and he goes, "You guys know how to tap dance?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Okay." He goes, "I want to see the tap dance routine before the concert." I was like, "No problem." So Jim goes, "Do you know how to tap dance?" I was like, "Of course not."
What would lead you to believe that? The fact that I raised my hand and then confirmed that I know how to tap dance.
That's right. So
hey, if you're a young ne'er-do-well, note the reason that this worked was because there was no hesitation.
That's
it.
it.
If there had even been half a second of hesitation, then it would have been like, it's LaDuke, there's no chance. But
no chance.
Yeah, he talked himself out of his gut reaction because of the timing. So
Yeah.
You should stay in school, don't do drugs, and don't do what Lance did. But
Get a
if you
haircut.
wanted to, there's your advice.
So I was like, "Well, we gotta." So we got together. I go home and I told my mom I gotta buy some taps for my shoe. Like, and I didn't have I think all the shoes I had were like rubber soled, and so I had to borrow a pair of my dad's shoes, and we nailed these taps onto them, and we kind of hobbled together a quasi sort of tuxedo. I don't think we had top hats. I think we wanted to have top hats, but I do remember we got some dowels that we painted black with a white tip, and so we had canes, and we got together, and it was just like anything I could remember from watching, just like variety shows when I was a kid. And there's a a Fred Astaire thing, and then there's like the Ritz Brothers things, and Gregory Hines was popular at the time, and so I had whatever I could pull up, because there was no, this is I'm not sure we had cable at this point, so we for sure didn't have anything called the internet, where I could just call up YouTube. So Jim and I get together and we concoct this routine, because it was like 32 measures or something. It was like we needed to fill, I don't know, a half a minute or a minute. It was like super short. And so there was a lot of this kind of, big arm motions, and then a lot of dun, 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 and then point to the other guy, and he does the same thing, and then twirl them. And so the banner's like, "All right, I want to see the routine." Okay, we got it. And so we come in, and the band director puts the record on. It was just the three of us in there. And he was laughing so hard. He was like, "Yeah, absolutely. You can for sure do it." And so for sure we did. It came in from different sides of the thing. That was awesome. It was so horrible, but it was just like, man, it was just, we owned it. We owned it. Like, we are going to be good tap dancers. We willed it to happen.
Isn't it wild how now any kid could watch a YouTube video and not that you can become a tap dancer right away, but you would at least be less funny in some ways, because you would know what to try and you'd know what to work on. It's like, yeah, you guys are trying to make yourselves canes.
Well, it was funny to me too that you could buy taps. There was a shoe store in my town, and you could go in. You just went in and bought taps at the shoe store, because there was no, now you order them on Amazon or taps.com or whatever, wherever you buy your taps. Shoot, Taps.
Taps.com.
Taps.gov.
That might also be a place to hire trumpet players for when
That's
somebody
true.
passes away. But yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go, Melissa. My father, I got pulled over by my own father and got off with a warning. And the time when Lance, the best part of that story, by the way, is when you said to your buddy, "Raise your hand right now," and he was like, That's funny.
Yeah, because he was a freshman and I was probably a junior. You know, it was like I was first chair, he was second chair. I was like, just do it. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
It's
I
fun.
got it here.
Your path of least resistance is doing what I want you to do right now.
Exactly.
It's actually not, but
So that was pretty good.
that is pretty good. Why don't you tell the beautiful people about Duquesne?
You mean the Mary Papert School of Music at Duquesne University in beautiful and sunny Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania? It is somewhat sunny today. Cold, but sunny. So very special thanks to the Mary Papert School of Music at Duquesne University in beautiful and sunny Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania for being one of our longest sponsors. Maybe the original? Parker was first.
Parker was first.
So, but they have been longtime supporters of the show, and we greatly appreciate it. So we would love for you to visit click on the link in the show notes and go visit the... Click it now, and go see what's going on there. There's a great deal of energy and excitement, largely because James Gourlay has kind of come in and single-handedly shaken the place up in a good way. He's doing all sorts of really cool, interesting things.
He's so good, he didn't even need both hands to shake it up. He was just like, he was waving while he shook the place. That was harder than I thought it was going to be.
So, fantastic applied faculty on the brass side. Gourlay's running the wind ensemble now. Lots of cool, interesting things happening. I think I saw a post that he's had, they had a concerto competition, and all three of the top spots were his students.
Yes.
So he's doing good stuff. And so go visit. And a very, very, very special thanks to Jim Shake It Up Nova for making it possible.
Okay. Jimmy in Albuquerque. What is some advice you have about being more focused in the practice room?
Wait, I zoned out when you were asking that. What was the question?
You're in luck, because I'm answering this one first.
Oh, good.
And then since we alternate, and fairness, we have to. There's a mediator that's involved. Like we have to make sure we have equal time. By equal time, I mean I just have to make sure I talk 70% of the time. What is some advice you have about being more focused in the practice room? Couple of things from me. When I am working with practice coaching clients through Hitz Academy, there's two things that we need to do if focus is ever an issue for them. One is that we have to eliminate distractions. And our phones are these crazy, powerful, awesome things. But you know what's more interesting to me than practicing? Is hearing the aforementioned Russell Beebe, posting some stupid TikTok video of some trampoline fail or something. That's more interesting to me than working on lip slurs. And by more interesting, I don't mean slightly more interesting. I mean 1,000 times more interesting to me. Now I like being able to operate a tuba at a high level so that I can, because that facilitates my musical storytelling, obviously. So I like what practicing lip slurs gets me. But yeah, not the most interesting thing that I do. So I need to make sure that my phone is completely out of the picture. Now I do use it as a tool, but I can turn it on to airplane mode. I just have to really, really streamline things. I practice actually sitting right here. If you're watching this on video on the YouTube channel, I practice right here a lot, and then I use my iMac here as my stand. But I close all of the browsers. I put my phone, so then my metronome, which I actually frequently use Groove tracks on YouTube for a metronome when I'm using my computer. Everything is closed except for Dropbox and maybe the cello, the DroneToneTool.com, and a metronome. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that when I sit down to practice, and this is true of almost all of my clients as well, is that when you sit down without a clear plan, my mind wanders like right away. It almost starts wandering, like it begins the whole session with wandering. And so I need to go into a practice session with a plan. That doesn't mean I can't change the plan right away or partway through or whatever, but I need to know exactly what I'm playing, what I'm trying to get out of it. I can even open up the different tabs because I've got all my music is digitized and in Dropbox. So I need to come up with a plan, and to take that one step further, because this also does help with focus in the moment. I try to have clients and students plan, like, schedule their next 3 practice sessions out, like actually put it in their calendar as to when it's going to be, and any of those can be changed. I try to have them not cancel any, like it's always like a reschedule kind of a thing, just so that you can see how many sessions you have between now and your next lesson, or between now and your next audition, etc. And so the number of sessions coming up can also, or amount of time combined with what I have to play, can inform what it is that I need to be attempting in the first place. And then of course there's like goal setting. I mean, you can talk about breaking this down like really far, but so for me it's eliminating distraction, and then also having a plan such that I'm not just trying to fill time in the practice room, because if I do that, then my phone is like, boy, it's not just like calling my name, it's singing my name, like, and it's a very, very beautiful tune. I go towards it's like the opening to Das Rheingold. So there.
Well, those are good ones. The thing I'll add is curiosity. Get curious about why you are losing focus. Is it time for you to take a break? Are you hungry? What's your mood and energy level like? Yeah. And then how suited for the task at hand are your skills? Because we've talked about flow a number of times, but Mihai Csikszentmihalyi book outlines this graph where your skills and the challenge at hand, if you plot them on a graph, you want your skills to be in sync with the task at hand. And if the challenge is too great, it leads to frustration. If the challenge is too low, then it leads to boredom.
Yes.
So do you need to focus, you need to zoom in or zoom out? Do you need to pay more attention to, where is the precise moment that the tongue backs up from the teeth to allow the wind through? Is there a sound that's affiliated with that? Like, get incredibly detailed about it if that's the direction that you need to go. I think a lot of times people tend to be bored during warm-ups and frustrated during practice sessions. And you're doing the exact wrong thing both times. You're not paying enough attention to the warm-up. If you can do anything in addition to the warm-up, like if you could watch TV and do the warm-up at the same time, you need to change your warm-up.
Right.
So you need to increase the attention to detail there. And then the frustration level, often it's a related issue. Like we're trying to do too much too fast. And so you need to just either slow it down, break it down, do it in chunks, sing it, just the rhythm, away from the horn, and get away from the notion that practice has to equal horn on face. Practice is way broader than that. Practice doesn't. You don't even need the instrument. You could be driving with a metronome and work on your groove. You could be analyzing your score and taking a look at, oh, well, this is a place that I'm going to need to work out the fingerings. And if you bring your fingers with you wherever you go, then you have the ability to work on the muscle memory affiliated with some tricky fingering pattern that you can then reintegrate back into it when you go into the room. So I would say get curious would be the easiest way to describe that.
James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits. If any of you...
Cool newsletter, too.
I was just about to say,
yeah.
321. That is the most bang for your buck for any newsletter I've ever read. It's amazing. It comes out every Thursday. It's really, really, really good. If you sign up for it, if it even remotely... He's all about... he's all about habits and goal setting, and if you're a musician or you're a teacher or you're a parent or I mean anything, it will apply. I'd be shocked if you read newsletters ever, and it's very short. It's once a week. It's great. He in the book Atomic Habits, which I actually had the first TEM book club meeting was like a week ago. We did Atomic Habits, which was great. Thanks for not showing up, Lance. He talks about the Goldilocks Rule, which is that humans experience peak motivation when working on tasks that are right on the edge of their current abilities. And I like that. It's not even just focus; it's motivation, right? Which is because if it's just out of your reach, if a little kid is not strong enough to physically like throw a basketball in the air high enough to even at any point get it above the rim, they're not going to want to do that for very long because there's no chance. Once they can get it in even 1 out of 5 or 1 out of 8 or 1 out of 10 times, then they're going to want to do it way more than 0 out of 10. And and if it's like so close, if it's just layup after layup after layup, most people are not going to want to do it. And he also, another great quote from that book is, the greatest threat to success is not failure but boredom. Which I think also taps directly into what you were just saying. I think that's I think that's good. So that book, you've read that book, right? Atomic Habits.
Yeah. His brain's very cool. And the 3-2-1 is it's 3 ideas from him, 2 quotes from others, and 1 question. And it's always usually it's 6 out of 6 for me. Like out of the 6 statements that are in there, they're all powerful. But if you're going to be hard pressed to find one that none of them resonate with you.
Yep. Yeah. It's let's see here. The question from this past week says, entrepreneur and investor Sam Altman says some of the best advice he ever received was, quote, if you can't figure out what kind of work you like, pay attention to what's easy to concentrate on and gives you energy versus what makes you tune out and feel tired. Then the question is, what is easy for you to concentrate on? That right there, it's like directly applicable to the practice room, right? I've been, I have not been playing a lot of gigs lately. That's an understatement. It's just like my work has not really come back in force at all since the pandemic has started to wane. And I'm also not being super, because I've got so many other things going on, professional and otherwise. I haven't been trying to create my own opportunities either, so I'm not baffled by it. But they haven't yet found me, and they will. But as a result, I haven't been like oozing with like, let's do real nitty gritty, repetitive, like just try and push like the 1% more on the tuba operating front. But you know what I have been doing lately is like playing like, making a 1-minute video clip of like just completely just pure improv and coming up with different ideas. And I've even been like walking around. I think of an idea when I'm nowhere near my tuba, and I'm like making a voice memo with like singing the idea into my phone, and then I listen to it, and then I play it on the tuba, and then I'm like combining that with like the video. And I've learned how to using Logic Pro, which I didn't realize that you can actually use that to edit video as well. It's not it's an audio program, and then replacing the audio. I have a mic set up over here for tuba that's not the one I'm talking into right now, and then swapping out and then mastering it in Logic Pro. It's just kind of like, it's all really creative stuff, and that doesn't completely replace I have to do, especially at my age now, like I have to be doing like basics on the tuba, or else that stuff is all going to piece out on me. But it's not just like I'm forcing myself to do the work, like I hate kale, but I'm going to eat kale. Which by the way, kale isn't that healthy for you. It just has very good marketing. So like the whole superfood thing is absolute bullcrap. So it's good for you, of course. It's a leafy vegetable, but it's like, it's not a superfood. So
take that, kale.
And it also sucks. It's like, well, yeah, if you cook the hell out of it, then yes, then it can be good. But kale by itself, eat gads. My son likes kale, and I've kept my mouth shut. I'm like, I want to say to him, I don't think you actually do. But but if you're eating kale, we're good. I'm good. I'm just going to keep my mouth shut.
Yeah.
He also is trying to tell me he doesn't like cilantro, even though it does not taste like soap to him, which I'm glad. Like, I wish that on no one because it sucks. But he was like, the other day, he was like, yeah, I don't like cilantro. I was like, why? He's like, well, it tastes like soap to me. I was like, no, it doesn't. And he was like, okay, you're right. I was like, why are you lying about that, man? It's a weird thing to be lying about there, little dude.
A lot of strong opinions about food in the Hitz household.
Absolutely. Oh, the kale lobby is.
Hey, speaking of
strong.
food, here's the thing that you don't know.
Yeah,
you're about
tell
to
me.
know.
Tell me.
We started eating fish again.
Oh, how about that?
Yeah, just
There you
about
go.
a week ago, 2 weeks.
Sorry, I need a second to not read or respond to the hate mail I'm going to get about kale.
Oh,
Okay, all right, I'm good. So you started eating fish again. What fish did you start with?
I jumped in with both feet. I had fish and chips at this. It was a really good. I
go.
trusted it.
Little
Like,
flounder?
It was not at a. It was more of a. It wasn't like a dive bar. I didn't think I was taking my life in my hands. I knew that what I was doing was risky, potentially, just in terms of the subsequent 8 to 10 hours. But no, it was a home run.
But fish and chips at like a dive bar is actually pretty safe because that's just like
That's true.
that's just insanely overprocessed. I mean, it's
Frozen
it's
and-
horrific for you, but it's not unsafe. It was like
Yeah.
you wouldn't want to go with like fresh fish and chips at a place
Yeah.
that wasn't very nice, and then it's like but a bar they're just pulling that out of the freezer. So yeah,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so did that.
There
I've
you
had
go.
scallops and salmon and shrimp lately.
there you go.
So there it
And
is.
have you been going vegan before that, or like is there any dairy? No, just so vegetarian.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're
We eat
pescatarian.
vegan. Yeah, but it will still cook. So we use this purple carrot box thing. Box shows up once a week with 3 meals for 2, and it's delicious. I mean, and I've learned a ton about cooking,
Right.
and I've learned a lot about just combinations of flavors and what goes into. I mean, it's been really fascinating, and those are vegan. So we still, I mean,
Yeah, sure.
like, but if we're going out, then I'll just sort of broadens the spectrum.
What was the decision? What was that like? Just
It was like kind of, I don't know. My wife brought it up. Our daughter, she recently started eating fish again. She was vegan, and then she of all things sardines. She got into sardines, and got into sardines. Like became quite a fan and aficionado. And so then we got to talking about it, and it's like, well, why don't we give it a shot? And so we gave it a shot. Yeah. So that's that.
speaking of eating fish again, why don't you tell us about Houchin Horns?
Nothing reminds me. I'm going to stop that transition right there. Houchin Horns aims to spread the joy of music
It's
to providing
okay.
the highest
It's okay.
level of
We'll
product,
edit that
services,
out.
and resources to the brass playing community. They have a 15-day money-back guarantee with free shipping on all new instruments and accessories with multiple easy financing options on all inventory. Terms and conditions apply. I wonder what terms and conditions apply means in this. What the term? Anyway, they have mouthpieces by Greg Black, Lasky, Pickett, Schilke, and more. Repairs and customizations are done in-house. You can browse vintage and consignment instruments at houchinhorns.com. And if you enter the promo code Junkies at online checkout, you'll receive 10% off your purchase from Houchin Horns. Again, some limitations apply. Thank you very much to Mark Houchin for supporting the show and for being a fan of the show and for putting up with our mayhem and nonsense
All right.
and skullduggery.
And- okay, last question. Bill in Carlsbad.
Carlsbad.
What occupation other than your own would you try if you had to start tomorrow and it couldn't be related to music at all?
Ooh, if it had to start tomorrow. See, I would, if I had to do it again, I would have been, am I first? I'm first this time.
You're You're first in our
Since
hearts.
I've already gone.
And,
Aw.
and you're first in this question.
Stand-up comedy, comedy writer. But if I had to start tomorrow, it wouldn't be those because that's too hard. I'm too old to want to start doing that. It's a younger person's job. I mean, it just would, the payoff would be too far down the road. And I actually, more importantly, I don't want to be up that late at night. Get started, you got to go on at like 2 a.m. or something. Like, I ain't doing that.
Sleepy from all that fish I ate.
That's it. I ain't doing it. So if it wasn't that,
likewise, I would not be driving. I would not be like, hey Russell, do you want me to drive from Boston all the way out to the Berkshires to pick you up and then drive back? Like no, you rent a car.
Nope,
like
exactly.
No.
Yeah.
Wait, the show on Friday is at Great Woods and the show on Saturday is at Great Woods? Yeah, I'm going to be at, you know where I'm going to be? Great Woods. Yeah, that's where I'm going to be. Love for you to join me.
You know where it is, right? That's pretty good. So if I was really going to do it, it's a good question. It would be hard to not pick something creative. So, I mean, it might be like, I might get into pottery or tap dancing. It's got to be tap dancing.
Such a jackass.
Seems like it. Acting, maybe. That I could see, because I don't have to stay up that late to do that.
Right?
But yeah, nothing that makes sense. Nothing, not like accountant wouldn't be, I wouldn't be normal. That's for sure. Maybe an author. Or I could also I could find myself getting interested in making. Remember who was our one of our earlier guests, Victor Bronco, making those tables. Like I could see, wasn't he the one who made tables?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yep. So I could see doing that, like making something with my hands, woodworking or something like that would be kind of cool. How about you?
I think it would be coaching of some kind.
Phlebotomist.
I absolutely love. I like the TEM coaching that I do, and the practice coaching that I do. I love it. Like it's like my favorite. It's my current favorite part of my portfolio career, like of all of my income streams, and it's actually kind of not close. I still love teaching lessons, but like there's something about like the TEM coaching in particular, like about like people have done all of this work, and then to help them to either of how to put it in front of people or who to put it in front of, or that it gets traction and then it actually impacts the world, and then help people find their people, and like, and then financial, success comes with that. It's like, I love it. It's like, or because it's always, I use Lance as an unpaid coach a lot, or I just like, in fairness, I don't think I ask you to anything too often that requires too much time. Like, it's just like, hey, I need a name for this thing, and you're just so frustratingly good at that. And I could take 3 hours and come up with something that's anywhere from 80 to 100% as good as yours, or I can just bother you, and then like 2 minutes after you see the thing, it's as good as I'm gonna do. And I'm like, there we go. I'm gonna take 2 of his minutes rather than 3 of my hours. It's a lot easier. I actually have I have an accountability partner right now that I met in a Seth Godin workshop in the This Is Marketing, the marketing seminar it's called. And this woman she's a nutritionist, and she also teaches English as a second language. She has nothing to do with music at all. She and I meet once a week, and it's incredible how her perspective, like she's just like a bunch of stuff that you and I assume is just the way that it's got to be, and she doesn't even know that that's how it's got to be. So it's not like she has to like get that out of her mind and approach it in a fresh way. She is the fresh way. It's like to just kind of like, what about this? And like, oh, like, of course, So I really like that. And I guess the other would be author, because I really do enjoy when I write. And it might be about music. I really do. I mean, I think that that's still okay. I guess related to music. I mean, but that's not being a musician, and it's not teaching music, but like writing about it would possibly be something else. And also I guess the other part of my answer is that it would be I would absolutely set up a portfolio career, which I just said, but like that, but meaning, what my career for a long time looked similar to what yours does right now, Lance, which is like where 95% of your money comes from one source, right? And you do a lot of things at that source, but like you just have a paycheck. That was me with Boston Brass for 14 years. Now I I make some money from TEM coaching. I make some money from Hitz Academy practice coaching, and I make some money from private lessons, and I make it all kind of totals up. That's how I would try to set up my next life if I had to have one, because first of all, it's more interesting, but second of all, if you've got 12 things and like 2 of them really start to catch on, whether it's predictable what catches on or not, then if you want, you can put way more time and energy and effort into that, and sometimes that just makes it go even more. Or you can decide not to. If something that seems like it should be working and isn't, you can stop, or you can change. It's kind of like a laboratory at that point. It's easy for the Goldilocks rule for me at that point, because it's like there's just a puzzle, but I get to decide the pieces and I get to try and put them together, and it's just it's empowering. So that's how I would set it up, would be as a portfolio career. And then if I started writing and then my author career like took off, then sure. I'm not saying I wouldn't spend 95% of my time on one thing, but throwing a bunch of stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks is actually is a good way nowadays, because the cost of entry of like anybody can write a book now. I mean, it's like it's really hard to have anybody notice it or read it. It's like there's a whole new slew of problems, but you don't have to ask permission. Right. You don't have to even know what a book proposal is, like let alone like how it's formatted, and then write a good one, and then like get it approved by somebody who can only approve so many book proposals, because it's just reality, and so you're actually competing against others. It's like, no, you're not. So you can kind of get a start on a lot of that stuff. So
yeah, there you go.
So there.
How about that?
We just solved a lot of the world's problems.
As usual.
Tap dancing. Such a jackass. That's
like all fours out, like yeah, that was awesome. And then tried to do that thing too, where you like sweep your leg around in a circle, like you kind of
sweep the leg, Johnny.
Sweep the leg, Johnny. Oh yeah, it was huge.
That's pretty good.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you to all of our Patreon patrons. The bonus episode with Mr. Kernow. Was he last? Was Kernow last? I'm like, yeah,
maybe.
He was. It's been some really good bonus episodes lately. And thank you to everybody who's helping us to keep the lights on. You can go to patreon.com/thebrassjunkies to learn more about that. Also unlock a whole bunch of bonus content at the same time. Thank you to, by the way, Facebook page. We're at like 1,981 likes on our Facebook page. So let's get a push to 2,000 before Facebook as a platform implodes on itself. So yeah. So boy, that Meta commercial was like weird. Yeah, the Meta commercial last night. It was like
all the VR stuff.
Well, but it was like I saw there was a tweet that I wish I could pull up really fast, which I don't think I can. It was pretty wild. It was just a weird. It was because there was like. It was like some restaurant that closed, right? And then like and there were like these animal costumes, and then the animal costume, like it was all weird, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird. It was just a very I saw somebody, I can't find it. I saw somebody comment that Meta jumped the shark like in their first ever ad.
It's pretty good.
Very, very strange. All right, Lance.
Andrew.
It has been a. I'm trying to process it. You eat fish and you tap dance. It's just like those are two things.
Duh, those things go hand in hand, don't they?
Apparently, apparently. So this has been an absolute pleasure.
I can't argue.
You'll be happy to know, speaking of our bonus episode, that I just tried to search for this tweet really fast, and I searched meta shark, and there are a whole bunch of NFTs of like the most horrifically poor art of sharks, which are, I guess, like the Bored Ape. So they're slowly breaking the internet. So anyway,
Perfect.
I'm gonna go buy myself a like a $5,000 NFT of a shark cartoon wearing a bandana and star sunglasses. And
Why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you? And that's going to do it for this episode of The Brass Junkies.
You've been listening to The Brass Junkies on the Pedal Note Media Podcast Network. If you would like to hear the bonus episode featuring today's guest, please visit patreon.com/thebrassjunkies to learn how you can support the show and instantly access all bonus materials, as well as gain access to a special patron-only Facebook group. The Brass Junkies is produced by the amazing, wonderful, and truly inspirational Will Houchin. The theme music was composed by Fernando Dados and performed by Andrew Hitz and Lance LaDuke. We are at Pray for Jens on Twitter and Instagram and have a Facebook page at facebook.com/prayforjens. You can find out more about the Brass Junkies and all the other Pedal Note Media podcasts at pedalnotemedia.com. This has been a presentation of the Pedal Note Media Podcast Network.